From the dust of the Earth, a challenge is launched, a question fired from the coast. The system locks on. It doesn't think. It doesn't hesitate. It simply acts. More Guardians follow, a volley of defensive measures painting the sky with trails of white. The incoming projectile is overcome, its journey ending in a bright flash over the water. And in the blink of an eye, high above the world, the first answer is delivered. It begins here in the vast, unforgiving emptiness where land meets sea. On the edge of the modern world, old tools are prepared for a very modern conversation. Every movement is precise, practiced, a choreography of defiance against an unseen giant. Through the lens, the target is not just a vessel, it's a symbol of power. And in that moment, the scale of the board is understood. The pieces are in motion. The decision is made. A signal is given. The quiet is about to be broken. The command is given, a simple press that unleashes a complex chain of events. The first projectile ignites, a roaring declaration of intent against the sky. From a hidden position, a second voice joins the chorus, streaking towards the horizon. A different kind of challenger takes flight. A silent winged hunter joins the salvo. Another launch. This one climbs higher, taking a different path to ask the same question. This is a saturation maneuver, a test of numbers against technology. It flies low, using the ocean's surface as a shield, a metal predator skimming the waves. On the ground, they watch their defiant messages arc across the sky. Miles away, the fleet sails on, a city of steel in serene, unsuspecting waters. From this height, the vessels below appear calm, almost peaceful. A deceptive tranquility. But its eyes are always open. The Titan's main sensor sweeps the horizon, ever vigilant. The challengers adjust their paths, spreading out to complicate the equation. One asset flies higher than the rest, its purpose to see, to guide, to report. Through its electronic eyes, the target is now clear, its geometry defined. Their part of the operation is complete. The tools are packed with calculated speed. They vanish back into the landscape, leaving only the wind and the consequences of their actions. The sun dips low, painting the sky in colors of fire and farewell. The contrails of the approaching objects are now stark against the twilight. This is the moment of truth, a classic tactic aimed at a next-generation opponent. Inside the Combat Information Center, the world is reduced to data and glowing screens. It starts with a single pixel, then another. The system flags multiple unknown contacts. The captain assesses the display. No alarm in his voice, only focus. The protocol begins. On deck, the hatches of the vertical launch system slide open in perfect unison. The system presents solutions faster than a human can blink. The paths are calculated. Engage. The authorization is granted. The human element confirms what the machine already knows. The first interceptor is away, a guardian of light climbing to meet the darkness. More Guardians follow, a volley of defensive measures painting the sky with trails of white. High in the thin air, where space begins, the first meeting is about to occur. It is not an explosion. It is a kinetic transfer. The high-altitude threat is simply undone. The eye in the sky is the next priority. A dedicated interceptor closes the distance. The guiding asset is fragmented, its connection to the others severed permanently. But the low-flying challengers are harder to see, harder to track. A new phase of the engagement begins. Secondary sensors now focus their attention on the surface, scanning the waves. A different class of interceptor is launched, designed for speed and agility at low altitudes. It hugs the water, a mirror image of the very object it is sent to greet. From the Challenger's perspective, a light appears behind it, growing brighter, closer. The interceptor doesn't need a direct impact. It releases a cloud of fragments in the target's path. The wave skimmer's flight becomes erratic. It is no longer a threat. Across the water, similar scenes unfold. A symphony of precise, calculated interceptions. In the CIC, the red icons on the main screen begin to vanish, one by one. But the captain's gaze remains fixed. He knows the test is not over yet. One object has evaded the mid-range net. It maneuvers sharply, unpredictably. And it's not alone. A winged companion has also slipped through the defensive screen. From the deck of the ship, two dark shapes are now visible to the naked eye, closing fast. The captain gives the final command, activating the ship's last line of defense. The close-in weapon system awakens, its barrels beginning to spin with a rising hum. Other ships in the formation do the same, creating an overlapping field of protection. From the object's point of view, the ship grows enormous, a wall of steel with a hornet's nest on top. They believed this was their moment. They failed to account for the final 10 seconds. The system locks on. It doesn't think. It doesn't hesitate. It simply acts. A stream of projectiles fills the air, a final impenetrable barrier of tungsten. The incoming projectile is overcome, its journey ending in a bright flash over the water. But the winged Challenger is nimble. It changes course, pulling up to avoid the stream of fire. On the ship's deck, another system, silent and unassuming, swivels to face the new threat. Within its housing, mirrors and lenses align with microscopic precision. It releases no projectile. It fires a beam of concentrated energy, invisible to the naked eye. On the surface of the drone, a single point begins to glow cherry red. The structural integrity of its wing fails in an instant. Control is lost. The once graceful hunter now tumbles helplessly through the air. It returns to the sea not as a weapon, but as inert, harmless debris. The tactical display in the CIC is now clear. All hostile icons are gone. The captain allows himself a slight nod. The system performed as designed. In slow motion, the barrels of the CIWS spin down, smoke curling from their tips. Spent casings, gleaming under the twilight, are the only evidence of the recent storm. The air shimmers where the beam of light once was, a ghost of immense power. Ripples spread across the water where the final Challenger met its end. The fleet sails on, its course unaltered, its mission uninterrupted. The stars emerge, indifferent to the brief, intense drama that unfolded below. The ship is a picture of calm, its lights reflecting on the dark, placid water. But inside, the work continues. Every second of the engagement is analyzed. They study the telemetry of the incoming objects, learning their secrets. The captain observes the review, ensuring every lesson from the encounter is learned. So why did such a determined, multi-pronged challenge fail so completely? The answer lies not in a single weapon, but in a philosophy of defense. The error was not in the Challenger's design, but in the Defender's doctrine. They aimed their weapons at a ship. They should have been aiming at the system itself. For the fleet does not operate as individual units, but as a single interconnected network. It was a confrontation between a sharp spear and a living, thinking fortress. The Challengers were potent, but they were individuals, each on its own path. The defense, however, was a choir, where every voice sings its part in harmony. The outer layer neutralizes high-altitude threats before they are even close. The middle layer handles the fast movers, a regional shield of overlapping fire. The inner layer is the final wall, a last-ditch defense that is anything but desperate. And then there are the special tools, for problems that require a more elegant solution. The encounter left no physical marks on the fleet. But it wrote a new chapter in the rulebook of modern naval confrontations. Yet for every perfect defense, a new, more clever question is being designed. What happens when the Challenger you're trying to stop is almost impossible to see? That is a story for another day.